Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. So I was sitting in the Walmart parking lot talking to my brother, and I have a question for you. What does a individual have, man or woman, when their looks and their money goes away? What else do they have that's going to attract a spouse and a good lifestyle to them? Now, the reason why I asked that question was because in the conversation I was having with my brother, he asked me about my friend Samantha. Samantha was a girl that I was thick as thieves with when I was in college. No, in high school and in college. Y'all, we were so close. And even after college, we were still close, but we fell off. Now, the reason we fell off was because of her personality. She had what I would consider a narcissistic personality. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that she was a narcissist, but, YouTube University, TikTok, and a couple of things that I've read over the years, it gave me narc vibes. She had a victim mentality. She felt entitled. She felt entitled because she grew up with pretty privilege. And to be very specific, she grew up with light-skinned pretty privilege in the South. So it was pretty deep with her, right? And when because she had all of that, she never really developed a good, wholesome personality. And I noticed that about 70% of women who grow up with pretty privilege, whether they're light skin or dark skin, they don't really have a good personality, or they are of a shell of a person because they're so used to just shutting up and getting what they want, right? Which is like, whatever, I ain't got to date you, that's cool. Well, over the recent years, her looks has faded, and that's because she got on drugs. She had children. That don't really have anything to do with her looks, but she didn't really keep her body up like she did, right? She's not educated in the sense of like she has a high school education. She didn't finish college. The positive thing about her though, she was a really, really hard worker. Keyword on the word was, because once drugs got in the picture, she stopped. Now she's a 30-year-old woman. She's out of shape. She still has her light skin, thing going on, her light skinness, but her pretty privilege has faded because she doesn't even have a whole set of four in her mouth, like not a steady set, right? So her looks is fade. She's a little bit overweight. She's not highly educated, and she has the most shittiest personality that you could ever meet because she feels so entitled to life, which is why we personally fell off, because it was a whole restaurant issue, y'all. It was a Wendy's thing. She went to Wendy's and she just, instead of her being like, hey, you messed up on my order, she went straight Karen. I'm calling the manager. I'm calling the supervisor. She started recording it. And it was just too much for me. And I was like, I don't need that type of drama. But I'm saying all that because the conversation my brother had was, okay, well, what is she going to do? Because she's getting up there and, she doesn't have a steady job. She doesn't have her looks to fall back on. She doesn't have the best personality in the world. Who is going to tolerate that? Because a man will tolerate a lot. He will tolerate a pretty woman with a shitty attitude. He'll just tell her to shut up. But he's not going to tolerate a ugly woman, shitty personality, a bunch of kids, and no job. He's not going to tolerate that. And now this is not me bashing women. Please don't think that I'm bashing women, because I have the same question for a man. Because as a woman, we will tolerate, honestly, an ugly man with a lot of money. We will. That's why a lot of NBA players, NFL players, people, that look like men, that look like they've been scrubbing the ground with their face, they have the most prettiest wives. Because if you can provide stability, we're good. That's just how the real world, right? But what happens when you don't have neither one of those things, or they fade away? What kind of personality, what kind of soul do you have? And for a man, if a man does not have good looks, money, or a decent personality, is he good at role reversal? If you get a girl, can you be the housemate, right? And for a woman, if you don't have money and you don't have a good personality, you don't have money, you don't have looks, do you have a good personality, and are you agreeable? Okay, I had to stop the films because I had to go get dressed. Now, this is what I say when I say agreeable, because even for me, that's kind of like a trigger word. Samantha Gibbons said something that was so important. She said her therapist taught her you could either have a successful marriage or relationship, in this case marriage, relationship, friendship, or you can be right. And that is something that I carry with me in my current lifestyle, in my current relationship, but I was never able to put in the words that she was able to put it in. I'd rather have a successful relationship, friendships, be successful in my social circle and environment than always be right. That's what I mean by agreeable. That is it. Cause like, I'm not talking about agreeable in the sense of like, I'm gonna go along to get along. I'm talking about you don't always have to be right. You have a personality that's like, bet, have this one. You good. And we can move on. That's what I mean. But anyway, to get back on the topic of the video, what does life look like at 51? Heck, what does life look like right now for those who looks are starting to fade, those who are not, you know, financially stable or have any financial means to bring to the table, for those who, you know, don't have a desirable personality? And then what is it going to look like for you at 51? And then my question is, what is the goal for those people? Do you, and it's not, this goes beyond a partner, and this goes beyond materialistic stuff. Do you desire to have a friendship? Do you desire to have good coworkers? Do you desire to have a social life? Like, what do you truly desire? And I know, because I've heard a lot of women say, oh, I'm going to have a Golden Girls era. It's going to be me and a couple of my girlfriends. But if you are struggling right now, or if you have an intolerable personality, if you have a narcissistic victim mentality, if you have a just woe is me or whatever it might be, and people can't tolerate you now, and you can't build that friendship now, what are you going to do when you get 50? And I do believe people get stuck in their ways. I'm not saying people can't change, but if friends, in my case, with Samantha, I can't tolerate her, and I'm not even a partner, what are you going to do when it comes to a partner? Like, those are the questions that I always have, because I'm like, one of the things I worked so hard on, and the reason I started this channel, was to get me out of being such a strong masculine, you know, out of that strong masculine character. I wanted to get out of that character because I saw how it wasn't going to be beneficial to me in the long run, and it wasn't going to help me meet my end goal. But I noticed that when I was in my 20s, and I used to be a femininity coach. I used to push out a lot of femininity content, but I pulled back on that because I noticed that a lot of women had the but excuse. Yeah, but this. And it got to the point where I'm just like, it's not everybody. It's not the whole world. It's you. Right? And the reason why I don't talk so much about men is because this is a good example right here. When I was dating, right? Before I got into my current relationship, I was going on dates, and I went out with this man that was 51 years old. He was a engineer, a homicide engineer for aircraft. And he had spent like 20 years in the game, right? And he was like, this is it. Like, he was making a good, you know, 5 to close to 6 figures. I think he had just reached like the 6-figure range. But anyway, what I noticed at that moment was he had a tolerable face. He had a decent personality. He was honestly really boring. But he had a tolerable face, and he had, you know, good money. For a woman, most women, especially young women, we're good. Because you have stability, which is what we're looking for. A lot of young women are not going after older men for a husband, for, you know, to birth children with. We're going after them for stability, financial stability and security, right? And then for an older man, the older he gets, I'm gonna be honest, the more value he has, especially if he's strategic about where he works and the way he carries himself and stuff like that. So we don't even have to deal with your personality, right? Or we will put up with your crappy personality. I mean, there's a lot of women that have put up with crappy personalities from a man just because he has money. So if a man doesn't have money, I feel like this: if he doesn't have money, he doesn't have a good personality, doesn't have looks or anything like that, what else do you have that's going to attract a woman? But my voice isn't for men, because I'm not a man. I don't know really what to say to y'all. My voice is mainly for women, and just to shed some light, or just to have a conversation, or just to bring some awareness to where you are now and help you get to where you're trying to go. And so that's why I'm telling you this story, because I don't want women to end up like my friend Samantha, you know, despite, you know, her issues. I don't want them to be to a state where they have developed their looks has faded, and they have developed a intolerable personality. Hold on. Because whether you know it or not, and this is something that my brother preached to me, and I'm glad that he did, your looks are going to fade. They are. I mean, black women, we do fade a lot, you know, we fight a lot less, but they are going to fade. And your personality and your soul, your spirit, what you carry around, your integrity, your characteristic is what's going to shine. And being a girl that grew up in, you know, poverty, I wasn't rich. we weren't poor, like living on the street poor, but we wasn't rich. The one thing I learned to have was a really, really good personality. I learned to stay to myself, and then I learned to have a good personality on top of that. So I feel like that has always been my shield, you know. Oh, she's really, really quiet, but when she does speak, she's really, really nice. And I let that be my shield because, you know, I didn't have, you know how that saying is, you're not ugly, you're just poor. Because, you know, that was my case. But I've noticed even when I didn't have it all and I didn't have what, you know, shows on Instagram, I was always attracting good men and good women to me, friendships when I say women, because I allow people to see past the looks. It was really, really important for people to see past my looks and to look at my personality. And so that's where I'm going to leave this conversation for you all, because I really like to know, what do you have that is going to attract good-spirited people, partners, friendships, relationships, co-workers? What do you have that's going to attract all those things to you when your looks fade? If you don't have money, if you don't have materialistic things, do you have a personality, a spirit about you that's still going to outshine that? Okay, that was a question I had. So hopefully you all can answer that question, because I don't have a clue what my friend Samantha's going to do. It's really, really sad. It's really, really sad. And I know her situation is drastic. And there's a lot of women and men who are not as drastic as her, right? And I think that's where you have a leg up. But I think it makes it worse, because at least for her, she has an excuse. You know, she has an excuse. What about the people who are not on drugs? What about the people who are just has a crappy narcissistic personality? What about those people? So I gave y'all like the drastic effect, but there's a lot of people that don't. And so let's have a conversation below. If you have not already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.